If you're autistic or ADHD, do you have an arch in your low back? Abs seem lengthened and protruding, and you cannot tone your abdominals no matter what you do. It may feel like you're always bloated or even appear to be pregnant, and you probably have tight hip flexors and that tight group of muscles in your low back. Why does this happen? And what can we do to fix it? I'm a corrective exercise specialist, and I specialize in working with neurodivergent people who also might be hypermobile. Today, we are going to go over the exercises to correct this the right way with the right muscles doing the work. So come along with me and let's get it started.
There's strength in finding answers.
I'm going to be using a resistance loop. You can also use a resistance band and just tie it together with a double knot to create a loop. And I'll also be using a foam roller if it's comfortable for you to get on the floor and foam roll. You can do a modification with this up against the wall. It's up to you, and I'll show you how to do that here in a little bit. So why does this happen? Oftentimes with neurodivergence, we have a dysfunctional nervous system that's recruiting the easiest muscles possible to hold the body together. So when you are standing, when you are sitting repetitively, instead of your inner abdominals doing the work and your glutes doing the work, typically we see the hip flexors and those lumbar erectors take over. They do something we call overcompensate, and it is no fun because then they get tight, they get short, and what happens is they tip the pelvis forward, they rotate it forward, and that causes a lot of compression here on the lumbar spine. So it's not uncommon for people with this issue to get degeneration in those lumbar discs or to have instability there. So we need to teach these hip flexors and teach those back muscles that they don't need to compensate all the time by teaching the right muscles to do their job and then making them really strong. So we're going to do that today. Let's go ahead and lay down. You can lay down on a mat or you can get onto the most comfortable surface for you, and we'll get started with our exercises. So I'm going to start with placing the resistance loop about 2 inches above my knees because we never want to place anything directly onto a joint. And this just adds a little bit extra resistance that I find can be helpful with activating those glutes, which are notorious for not wanting to activate. Am I right? I'm going to go into glute bridges to start. So keep in mind, it's all about listening to your body's capacity and making sure the right muscles are doing the work. Because your dysfunctional nervous system might potentially be recruiting the easiest muscles possible, it's very common for your back muscles to get recruited in a glute bridge. So you might need to go smaller than you would think, maybe even a little bit slower, to try to make sure that you are engaging the glutes, your tushy muscles, all right? So what we're going to do is we are going to come into a position where your knees are hip width apart, your feet are in line with your knees, so we want that straight line down to the toes. I'm lightly pressing onto this resistance loop, and I want to be pressing into my heels to get glute engagement. Heels equals glute engagement, remember that. We also want to make sure that we have a spine that is steady like a rod. It's very common for our spine to want to do flexion, extension as we do this type of work where it kind of rolls at the vertebrae, right? We don't want that to happen. We want to engage your TVA by zipping up your belly button in and up, and we want to hold that abdominal bracing so that your spine does not move. We want all of the movement to be here at this region right here. So let's press through the heels, zip up that belly button in and up, squeeze the glutes, and I'm going to just raise my arms so that you can see what I'm doing, but you don't have to raise your arms. We're going to slowly come up, squeezing those glutes, and then come back down. Notice that I am not going big right now. I am going slow and small. I'm squeezing my belly button in and I'm squeezing those glutes, pressing against this resistance band. Good job. We're just going to do 3 more for now. I hope that through pressing through your heels, you're feeling your glutes, you're squeezing your glutes. Let's do 2 more. 2. You can build your range of motion over time as you feel like your glutes are really doing the work. Last one, and rest. Great job. The question of the hour is, where did you feel it? Did you feel like your glutes were the prime mover, meaning the star of the show? Did you feel your back take over? Maybe that means you were going up with an anterior pelvic tilt instead of going up with that zipped up abdominal neutral pelvis. So either way, it's okay. We can adjust as we need to adjust. We can do less range of motion if we need to, really trying to target the glutes. Let's go ahead and go into another set. We're going to do another set of 8 reps. You can do more if you want to do more, but I want to really emphasize listening to the right muscles doing this work, because it's not an exercise that's going to heal this postural issue. It's the right muscles performing that exercise that's going to do it. So let's come back into position. Zip up that belly button like a jacket zipper. So notice how I naturally live in anterior pelvic tilt. I want to zip up the abs to bring me into neutrality. It's going to feel almost like tucking under, but it's not. We don't want to listen to those classes that have told you to tuck under your tailbone all the time. We don't want to be in a posterior pelvic tilt either. Just come into neutral, okay? Pressing through the heels. We want to feel both glutes equally. So if you feel only one side more than the other, maybe try to put more weight onto that other side that you don't feel as much, so you can feel it both evenly on both sides. Pressing through the heels, zipped up, squeeze the glutes, and let's go up nice and slow. Neutral in the pelvis. The vertebrae do not move. They are steady like a rod because you're squeezing your glutes and you're squeezing your abs. Good job. We're going to do 6 more. Use that resistance against the band to get more challenge. 5 more. Now you can start building that range of motion if it's feeling good for you. Listen to your body. We exhale as we go up. Last 3. Even weight on both heels. Even activation on both sides. Good job. Last 1. And rest. Nice job. Take a break. Feel free to check in with your body. Where did you feel activation? What muscles did you feel? You don't have to get it perfect. You don't have to stress about it. You don't have to get overwhelmed by it. You don't have to get this perfect, okay? But we do want to just start to build a connection with our bodies again, right? Start to build that interoception, that connection to what's going on inside of our bodies. As neurodivergent people, we typically don't have much of that connection. So it takes repetition to build. All right, next we are building on top of that, and we're going to go up into a static hold for the glutes. And then we're going to pulse our knees outward. Okay, this is external rotation. We are trying to get our abductors online, our glute medius, which are our outer glutes in the outer corner of the glutes. We're trying to feel those gluteus medius muscles come online because they're also a stabilizer of the pelvis, and they can really help the hip flexors and those back muscles be able to stop overcompensating. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that same movement where we zip up, we press through the heels, we engage the glutes, and then we keep the back nice and neutral as we come up. Make sure you don't shift all your weight onto your neck and get neck pain. Shift the weight forward onto the heels. If you feel this in the hamstrings, instead of the glutes, you can scoot your heels just barely closer in towards your glutes. If you feel it in the quads, you can scoot your heels just barely away from the glutes. So really trying to have it in just the right spot so you have glute engagement instead of that compensation. We're going to hold it here. Keep that weight shifted forward onto the heels. And then we're going to pulse out using the outer glutes. Nice job. Try to feel it evenly on both sides. So if you don't feel it as much on one side, think about that side more and try to squeeze that side more. Maybe put more weight into that heel. We're almost there. Almost there. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Don't let it be a passive exercise. Squeeze the glutes. 3, 2, 1, rest. I hope that burned. I hope that gave you some endurance challenge for the glutes so we can get not only connected, but strong. I also want to encourage you, if you felt that in the back, that was probably too much, right? Again, if something's compensating, we're not getting the benefit. So we really want to hone it in, step it back as much as we need to, even skip exercises when we need to, so we're listening to our bodies and where we are connected. It's all about the nervous system and which muscles are getting recruited as the star of the show. I have been shooting exercise videos all day, so my tush is feeling done, but we're gonna try it one more time and go into a last set before we get into some more abdominal exercises. So again, weight in the heels, squeeze the glutes, zip up your abs, and come into that static hold, squeezing those glutes. Shift the weight forward onto your heels so it's not on your neck, and pulse out. We're rotating externally, squeezing those outer glutes. Squeeze to make the rotation happen. If you feel it in the low back, you can come a little bit lower, or you can make sure that you're neutral, that you're not in that anterior pelvic tilt. Whatever feels best for you. 10 more seconds. You can do this. You are very strong. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rest. I geek out on good exercises, and that's a good exercise in my opinion. You did great. We're going into the abs. We are going to throw this resistance band over to the other side of the room for right now and go into an abdominal exercise next. Okay, so we're going to start with abdominal marches and then build on top of that if it feels good for your body. So what we're going to do first is we're going to inhale with the diaphragm and then exhale, zipping up your abs like we just did. So think about like 3 inches below your belly button. It's a jacket zipper that we want to feel pull in and up to zip up your jacket, right? We're wanting to feel your 2 abdominal walls come together as they zip up. We want to feel your vacuum seal of your abs. This is such an important stabilizer of your spine, and it is one of the essential muscles that we need to get online so that you come out of anterior pelvic tilt and into neutral. So your back and hip flexors don't always need to compensate. So we're going to inhale with your diaphragm, which lives right here inside of your rib cage. We're just going to try to feel these 2 balloons draw in the air as they move out and down to make the inhale happen. And then as you exhale, zip up. Let's try that again. Inhale. Without the back compensating, and exhale. All right, now we're going to add in an abdominal march. So we're going to do that same breath work, inhale and exhale. When we exhale, we're going to pretend like that zipper is a string that's going to pull up the knee. The knee is going to stay at a 90-degree angle. The only place where we're moving is from the hip like this. So let's go ahead and try that. We're going to inhale. And the zipper pulls up, exhale. Inhale. Let's stay on the same side. Exhale. Good. 3 more. Inhale. I really love a tire shop exhale with this. Really nice and loud. Inhale. Last one. Inhale. And rest. Tail old question. Where did you feel it? Did you feel it here in the center of your abs? Did you feel like it was pulling in instead of coning out? If you did, great. If you didn't, that's okay. We'll build connection over time. Did you feel like your hip flexors were doing a lot of compensation? It's not a bad thing for them to get strong, but we really want to teach your inner abdominals to do the work without compensation. Prime mover, star of the show. That's what we want to feel. Let's go ahead and try the other side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Remember, it's not the knee just coming up on its own, right? That's probably going to be hip flexors. It's your inner abdominals doing that work to pull it in. Inhale. It's like a vacuum seal. Last 2. And last 1. And rest. Good job. Check in with yourself. Take a 30-second break. We're going to move on to the next level of challenge. If you do not want the next level of challenge, that's okay. You can continue to do your hip marches. But if you would like the next level, I'm going to give you some options because we all love options. Bring your hands up into the air in fists, and we're going to do some dead bugs. So option 1, you can just keep doing your abdominal marches the same way you were just doing them. Option 2 is that you bring your arms up into the air, press shoulders down away from your ears and onto the floor. And you're going to extend the right hand. And then as you bring it up, you're going to exhale and bring up that knee just like you did before. So inhale with diaphragm. And then exhale, bring up the left knee with the right hand. Right? So inhale, extend. Foot's on the floor, exhale. So that's option 2. Option 3 is a little bit harder if you're wanting more strength challenge, if you're feeling connected and feeling good with it. Option 3, we have both feet off of the floor. I'm going to kind of rock side to side just to get my low back planted onto the floor. And we're going to extend right arm, left leg as we inhale, exhale, bring it back up. Like that. All right, so choose whichever option you would like. Option 1, abdominal marches. Option 2, just using the arms. And option 3, coming into the full dead bug position. We're going to do 5 on each side. You can do more if you want to do more. Just make sure that it's even on both sides. I'm going to come into the most advanced position here. Let's go ahead and get started. Inhale. Nice and slow. Last 2. Last 1. Take a break. Did you feel it in the right spot, or did you feel like there was compensation? Did you feel it in the low back or in the hip flexors or in the quads? If you did, maybe take it a step down. So this time I'm going to do the less advanced option. I'm going to just bring my hands up. Now we're going to be extending the left arm and then bringing back up the right leg. So if you're doing the less advanced option, this is what it looks like. Inhale, exhale. If you're doing the more advanced option, inhale, exhale. So we're going to do 5 on this side as well. All about that string. Last 2. Last 1. And rest. What did you feel going on? It's okay if it wasn't the TBA, the inner abdominals. It's okay if you're not getting it perfectly. Neither do I. Have you noticed? Is anybody in here like, oh, Tracy, your form doesn't look good? I know, I'm not perfect either. None of us are perfect. Thank goodness I'm neurodivergent too, right? We embrace imperfections here. We are not about perfection because then we're going to burn ourselves out. So let's be imperfect together. And it's okay if it wasn't perfect today. Come back the next day and try it again. And then through that process, you'll imperfectly improve over time. That's what this looks like. And that's what it looks like for me too. I'm a constant work in progress and we're doing it together. Last but not least, we're going to do some foam rolling for your quads because typically with an anterior pelvic tilt, you're going to have tight quads. You can also do this standing up against the wall, and I'm showing you a modification here of how you can do that, but I'm going to show you how to do it on the mat. So whichever option works best for you is great. Listen to your body, and let's get started. So I'm going to use a shorter foam roller. It doesn't really matter the length that you use. I'm going to do just one leg instead of doing both legs. Okay, so your quads are the front of your thighs. You do have multiple muscles in your quads, so you can try to get different angles here with the foam roller. And I'm going to show you what I personally like to do to release my quads. So coming onto the foam roller, I only have one leg and all of my weight is on the foam roller. I'm going to start up high towards my hip flexors. And I know a lot of people do really fast rolling movements, but I don't like that with foam rolling. I actually like to do very small, very slow movements so that I can give my muscles time to tell me where the painful spots are. And once I find a painful spot, again, I can go in the center and I can go a little bit out to the diagonal, outer diagonal. Once I find a painful spot, I hold it there and I breathe for 30 seconds, maybe a little bit less if needed, and I wait until I feel like that pain dissipated a little bit. I just hold it nice and still. And then once I feel like that dissipated, I can go ahead and roll forward. You can put your knee down if you need to. And again, just really nice and slow, trying to find painful spots. You can go to the outer diagonal just a little bit if you need to. Once you find it, holding it there, breathing. If you want some extra challenge to this, you could do what's called muscular flossing, where you actually bend the knee and straighten it. You don't need to do it in a huge range of motion while you breathe, and that's going to let you get a little bit deeper into the muscle. And go ahead and find a new spot. If you don't feel any pain in a spot, you don't need to hold it there. And again, you can go down the center and to the outer diagonal, not all the way to your IT band. And hold it whenever you feel pain, breathing there. Waiting until the pain lessens a little bit. And then going to the next spot. Again, not huge rolls, just nice and small, nice and slow, trying to find it where you feel pain. It's not bone or nerve that we're going for, it's just muscles. And yes, tight muscles will try to roll so that you don't have to feel the pain. They will try to avoid this. All right, and we're stopping about 2 inches above the knee. We're not going all the way to the knee. And then we can try the other side. Okay, so coming onto the other side, again, I'm starting just below the hip flexors. And yes, your hip flexors do feed into your quads. It's kind of like a systemic issue here where you have multiple muscles in your hip flexor system, but I'm right below the psoas, I'll say. And then I'm slowly rolling, keeping it nice and small, even going a little bit. It's a small little shift to the outer diagonal. That's where a lot of people are really tight, holding it there. Breathing with the diaphragm, trying to feel a release, trying to feel like that pain dissipates. And then once you feel that, you can go at your own pace and going to the next spot. And notice I'm not going huge leaps here. I'm just doing like inch by inch. Pressing shoulders down. You can rest your head if you need to, like maybe bring your elbows out a little bit. You can even put a pillow down for your head. And you might notice one side is a lot tighter than the other. That's very common for us. And you can do that flossing if that feels good for you, bending the knee and straightening. You do not have to though. Then bringing it to the next spot. The more you do this, the more your results are going to improve. So this is not usually something where you do it once and then you feel the benefit. This is usually where you do it over and over and over again, and then you feel the benefit. If you do want a program to follow, there is a program in the description where I have corrective exercise videos that you can follow day by day. And it can take you through correcting pelvic tilts. It can take you through correcting the forward head posture. And then you also get group sessions with our physical therapist, with our doctor. It's really amazing, and you do get 10% off coming from YouTube, so that's super fun. So you can check that out if you want to. And I'm just coming just a little bit further down. It's getting pretty tight for me, so I'm not doing huge range of motion with the flossing now, because now it's really tight. I'm still breathing. Down the center and then to the diagonal still. And again, stopping about 2 inches above the knees. I don't have any tight spots there, which is weird because usually I have very tight quads. So I'm going to stop there. You can keep going if you need to and take your time with this. It's okay if you need to pause the video and do more. So, how did it go? Do you feel like you worked the muscles we were aiming for? Do you feel like the other muscles compensated? Don't beat yourself up if you do. This is a process and it takes time. If you do feel like the right muscles were doing the work, I am celebrating that with you. That is incredible. Your nervous system did it. And if not, it's just a matter of time through practice. Go ahead and put into the comments what you experienced in this session and how you're feeling. I hope that it was helpful. And as always, you are stronger than you may feel right now. And it is possible to feel better.